To begin, every time we gather, we like to acknowledge where we are, the land that we're on. This is the treaty territory of the Mississaugas of the New Credit and the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and Huron-Wendat First Nations. We're on this land now, and these First Nations have been on this land and taking care of it for thousands of years, and we're grateful to be a part of this community. We have an award here called the Grolsch People's Choice Award that's voted on by you. It is our most important prize, and the way you vote for it is you go online to tiff.net/vote, so please remember to vote for the films of your choice. Big thanks to Moonstone Entertainment for providing us with this film, and we're really pleased that Chen Kiger is back at the festival. We have a long history with director Chen. He's been here a number of times before. He was here actually last year offering a kind of a sneak preview, a little taste of Legend of the Demon Cat before it was finished. It has subsequently been finished, but he's also been able to produce another director's cut of this film, and you were the first audience to see the director's cut of Legend of the Demon Cat. You may know director Chen Kiger's work. He was born in Beijing, graduated from the Beijing Film Academy, part of these what's called the fifth generation of filmmakers who really introduced Chinese cinema to much of the West. His features at the festival include Farewell, My Concubine in 1993, The Emperor and the Assassin in 98, Together in 2002, To Each His Own Cinema in 2007, Caught in the Web in 2012, and most recently Legend of the Demon Cat. He has remarkable range and versatility as a filmmaker. What is always at the heart of his films are a remarkable fluency in the language of cinema and a deep understanding and knowledge of Chinese culture and history. He's come to introduce the film to you tonight. Please join me in welcoming Chen Kiger.
So I'm so excited to be here tonight. Welcome. Thank you to come to watch this movie. Because, you know, when the movie finished, it's almost middle of the night. So time is running out that I still remember clearly that I was here last year at the festival. So at that time, I just introduced the movie by showing 6 minutes long trailer. But today, there is a director's cut. So for everybody here to watch. I don't want to talk too much before we start the show, but I just want to tell you that, you know, I mean, this movie is not easy for me to make because I'm spending 6 years to build a film set. I don't really see that as a film set. It's a real city of Tang Dynasty. It took 6 years to do that. And also, we saw trees that I don't believe look like a real city, look like a film set. So I have been very patient to plant 20,000 trees there, waiting for them to grow up. This is today's idea, right? So anyway, and I took 5 months to shoot, cooperate with the actors from China and Japan. It's very hard work. Because, you know, in China, that we don't have a day off. You know, just start and, you know, until the movie shooting finished. So I was exhausted, and I was very, very happy. I just want to tell you that my wife actually is among you, but I don't want to tell you where she is. You know, I mean, she just wants to enjoy the show with everybody here. So it's great to be here. Too nervous and excited. And I would take your questions afterwards. Thank you so much.
Again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here with us tonight. Just to start the conversation with the audience, I would like to ask Director Chen Kiger a couple of questions. So the film is an adaptation of Bako Yume Makura's best-selling novel, Legend of the Demon Cat. How did you work to cinematize this text, and why did you decide to adapt the book into this movie?
Because I mean, the writer is a Japanese, but he's really in favor of Chinese culture of Tang Dynasty. So I mean, the first time I met him in Tokyo, so we talk about the possibility to do the movie based on his novel. But his novel is too long. Of course, that we only use part of that. So then I work with him. I work with another writer who did Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. It's a lady. So then we're spending 1 year, to actually in the beginning, I was trying to do, a 2-parts movie. But unfortunately that, I couldn't make it. So I just feel there are a lot of beautiful things, existing in the novel. So I really admired the culture of Tang Dynasty. That is the very open society. A lot of foreigners immigrated to China at that time, settled down in Chang'an and other cities. I think that what I want to say is that I feel there's a similarity of what happens 3,000 years in Greek. There is always a war. There is always a beautiful lady who is being blamed. Take the responsibility of chaos. So there is always a very young people who standing up, to defend the human dignity, to help people to understand that, we should be passionate about human life and so on. So I think that's the story, international. I just want to say, of course, there is something particularly about China, it's a little difficult for the Western audience to know. But I just feel, we share the same theme that, we shouldn't put the blame on the female members of the society, when there is a problem. I guess that's the main reason, why I try to make this movie. I try to tell the Chinese audience, of course, that the Western audience as well, that, what we can do if something happened like that. Thank you.
Yeah. Another question is about the director's cut. Many of you in the audience have probably not seen the original long version, but I'd like you to tell us a little bit what the differences are and why. Right.
Because, the movie was released in China and in Japan and some other countries already. So, of course, that, we did very well in China and very well in Japan as well. So, I'm so happy, to receive the great box office in Japan. So we have a similar culture and so on. I think this is called director's cut because that I think that I'm trying to make a version as easy as to be understood by Western audience, by the international audience. So that's why I add something and at the same time I cut something off. So I'm happy with this version better than the previous one. So that's what I did. And also that I think it's a happy surprise that this movie is accepted by TIFF I really appreciate it that I think Piers and Cameron, and they're making decision to let me to come back to Toronto, which is fantastic. You know, I mean, I just can't believe that. I mean, deliver my warm thanks to them. Thank you.
I certainly will. And actually, the journey of this movie started 1 year ago here at TIFF, because we had, like, you know, the first few sequences of the film that were shot, that were screened here during an event last year. So it's a nice hark to the life of the movie. Started here, and you know, we have it 1 year later playing at the festival, and your director's cut. So that's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And another question is, I mean, this film is really a visual treat for me. I remember when I was in Beijing over a year ago that I saw stills from the movie. They were so beautiful, and the look of the set. It looks real. It doesn't look like a film set at all. So can you tell us? I mean, I know that, you know, an entire city was basically built for. Almost, I mean, for these movies. Can you tell us a little about that? It looks like, you know, perfect.
I guess that, you know, this is kind of, you know, luxury that not a lot of directors could have today. But I'm scared that if I shooting whole movie in front of the green screen, or blue screen, that will be a disaster. So that's why I told myself that, you know, let me just enjoy the very difficult process of building the set. So you see that, you know, I work with a team, you know, I mean, production designers and art directors that, you know, in total probably 20 people, you know, for 2 years to design the whole city. And then spending 4 years to build it, as I told you guys before. But it's a long process, and it's very, very difficult because sometimes, you know, we're out of money. You know, I mean, we just try to talk to different people to make sure that, you know, some private company want to help and so on. So, I mean, but the good news is that after the movie is made, so many other productions moving in, you know, they want to continue to use this city to shoot, you know, their own movies or TV stuff. At the same time that it become a theme park, you know, the people just come. You know, I mean, to probably even put on the clothes of Tang Dynasty, you know, pretend that they are from that period of time. You know, I mean, it's very enjoyable. But I think my wife and I have been suffering a lot because we didn't know that whether we can finish this impossible job, you know, to build a huge set like this until the last moment. So we are so relieved and when we're moving in and ready to shoot. But I think it's great. Life is short, but if you know, I mean, you're determined, you know, to spending 6 years to do that, to melt into it. You become part of that. And I think that for my whole life, I will always remember what really happened during that 6 years, that I'm a happy man, I want to tell you.
Thank you. And do you have any question? Yes, please, the gentleman with the...
Yes, I mean, yes. I mean, you go ahead.
Yeah, I repeat the question. The question is about how he collaborated with the director of photography, and the film has a very, and the visual effect and the photography is all very beautiful and fluid. If you can comment on that.
The cinematographer is, I think he's a very talented person. You know, I mean, he worked with a team, you know, And we had a long discussion before we start to shoot. Obviously, we had to storyboard, but it doesn't mean that the storyboard is that important, because we're basically using our imagination. Of course, that we did a lot of research. We have a lot of materials can look at. I don't think what you have seen in the movie is real Tang Dynasty. But it's just we just try to make the film kind of visually stunning. It's just like it's only exists in our imagination. China at that time was another Roman empire, I must say. So you see that you could feel the very free atmosphere of the society. That probably you can allow yourself to fly over and to do whatever you want. That's something called the freedom. So I think that we use kind of a visual stuff to show that, and that's my dream. I think that now it's time for me to be out of this dream to start another dream. Yes.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Well,
the question, if I heard and understood correctly, is about like the cities that was built as set of the movie, and how big is in like scale, because you see like and how much of it was like real or CGI, because it appears to be like a very
I guess the 95% of the shots are real. Probably only 5% that, we did with CGI. Regarding the size of the set, that I think is about, I don't know how many in acres. It's something like 300,000 square meters. Something like that. But it's huge. Let me tell you that if you really want to have a walk there, to see everything, you need 8 hours.
Wow.
So that's. I tried actually. I tried to walk like that.
Amazing. Wow. We only have time for one last question. It's kind of late, so how am I? Please, yeah.
I just wondered what was the most challenging scene to shoot. The Festival of Supreme Joy was so amazing, but it was really big. But there's a lot happening there. Was that the most challenging?
Most challenging scene to shoot. What was it?
Everything is difficult. So I just, my wife has been very helpful, and she said that do whatever you need to do. Forget about the schedule. I said, well, you are giving me a pressure, by telling me that, but I have to do my best. I think the most difficult thing is obviously, to build the set. When the set is not ready, that I cannot start. And also that to work with the people from different cultures. That's pretty difficult, because, we have 3 Japanese actors and actresses in the movie. We talk to each other, with interpreters, the translators. So that's quite difficult, to let them understand to what I want, and also at the same time giving them the freedom to do their own performance. I think that's quite difficult. But basically, I think that the talk about creativity, that you need a great imagination, because this is story taking place like 1,000 years ago. You cannot imagine, what would have looked like at that time. So I mean, it's I love challenge. I mean, I like to switch from one style to the other, and to make sure that I'm not trying to say that I can do everything great, but at least I tried. I mean, that's my fate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. And the last word I want to say that, I mean, the audience in Toronto is the most passionate audience that I have ever seen. Thank you so much. Good night.